I have to remember to look at the green dot. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's our opening. What's the green dot? Oh, yeah, the camera.
Right.
Right. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Kamala's here today.
Hey.
And Kamala is now a blonde.
I am. Happened last night.
Wow. What was any reason?
Yeah, well, being in quarantine and also this heat, my hair is very long. And
Okay.
I'm big for change. I love change. So, and I also don't like to get attached to certain things.
Right.
So I just said, fuck it. And I cut my hair off. And then I told my hairdresser, who was kind enough to come here, I said, let's just do something wild that I've never done. And I've never been a blonde in my life. So it's the perfect time.
How does it feel?
Great.
Yeah.
Gosh, no hair on my neck anymore. And it's like, like the color is really fun. And, I like it. It's kind of shifts your day and your life. Quarantine is such a trip.
Yeah.
So this is just a fun, much needed shift.
All right. Yeah. So I see you sometimes from the outside. I see you as a teacher, and then I see you on Facebook, but I see people seeing you, which is an interesting place to be in. So I've noticed that people really see you as this like kind of a leader and like powerful woman position. So the first question is, how many people do you think are going to go blonde because you went blonde?
Oh, that's funny. I don't know, but
right.
You know what? If you want to change your hair, shave it off, dye it purple, dye it blonde, I say go for it. This is going to grow back. It's like we live one time. So I say go for it. And I would be extremely flattered if someone decided to do this because I did, but make sure you find someone good to do it.
You don't want your hair to fall out.
No.
Right. That's good that you had someone good to do it. Are you the oldest child in your family?
I am.
Right. So do you think that like translates into the world?
I do in some ways. I feel like the oldest child, from what I've witnessed and spoken to my friends about, we're kind of like the pacemakers of the family. We will push things. We will try things. We're usually a little bit wild. Also, the last child seems to be that way too, the youngest.
Oh.
We already kind of blaze this path that like, once we come through, usually the people that follow us are going to have an easier time, I think.
Yeah.
But I do know some people, it probably varies from family to family for sure. But I do know a lot of oldest children, elder children that we've really just kind of blazed the trail for.
That's totally right. Well, I'm the oldest, and I feel like, there's like this, I have such a different view of my parents now than I did right when I was younger. But like when you're young, you're like feeling like you're just like chopping through bamboo, trying to make this path. And then right behind you is your siblings. They're like, yeah, this is no problem at all. What are you complaining about? And you're like, no, this was a forest that I had to get through.
Yes. I love the analogy of chopping through bamboo because bamboo's no joke.
Right.
It just never ends. We have some out here and it's constantly having to be cut back. So
yeah, it's a great weed.
Yes.
Very resilient.
Yes, definitely.
Use it as a fence. What is Pachamama?
Pachamama, Mama Gaia. It's this beautiful planet, Mother Earth.
Oh, okay. Because I was like right before this, I looked on your Facebook and I thought that it had to do with like the mother role. which also is like the eldest child role and the leadership role. And
well, if we look at the earth and really think about it, she is the eldest
yeah,
mother
right.
that there is, the mother of all, really. She gives each and every one of us life. So
Yeah, we're just visitors.
we certainly are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to learn to wipe our feet and walk into the space and bow and say thank you and please and be real nice.
Yeah. She needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that everybody is focused on their lungs, I remember you were a very early, well, you and Siri were very early to jump on the Wim Hof thing.
Yes.
Like, so what attracted you to that, like so quickly?
Yeah. So Siri had listened to a Joe Rogan podcast. We listen to him often because he's always introducing the new, pretty much the newest things out there when it comes to biohacking, life hacking, all those things. And so we listened to this podcast, or Siri had listened, and Wim Hof was on it. Right. So Siri immediately tried the breath and was just blown away. And I mean, you know me pretty well. I've gone through a lot. I'm a recovering or an alcoholic living my best life. I've gone through it. I've had a lot of depression in my life, anxiety, anger, resentment, judgment, all that stuff. Oh yeah. Affects me. I love things that boom, hit hard and shift me quickly. So I came home that day and it was interesting because Siri had just gotten his gong and he was like, Kamala, you have to try this breath right now. He's like, lay down on the floor. I'm going to gong and I'm going to run you through this breath. And I was like, okay, cool. So I, I do the round, which is 40 to 50 powerful breaths in and out through the mouth, deep, powerful inhale, soft exhale, like, and you know me also, I'm extreme and intense. I go, everything just balls out. So I lay down, I do this breath, and then you inhale, you hold, tighten all your muscles, and you exhale. And in that exhale, I found spirit. I just, tears started rolling down my face because you feel your cells, you feel this skin suit that you're in as one with you. So I'm holding out as long as I can. Tears are running down my face. And then I take in this inhale and I'm holding that breath in. And I must have held that breath in for over 2 minutes. And then you sip in a little bit more, and I held, and I came out of the breath and I'm crying. I look at Siri, I was like, it's right here. It's inside of us. It's always been here, and I've done all kinds of drugs. I've done all kinds of, tried to escape this body in any way I can. And, and like all kinds of things to supposedly bring me into the moment. But now that I look back at a lot of my drug use, it was escaping. But the Wim Hof breath will bring you into your body, into this moment, feeling so connected to yourself, to this planet, to other people, in a way that I really have not found anything else that does that except from 5-MeO-DMT, which is like, but you're gone at that point,
Right.
So I loved it. And we started teaching it from that day forth. We've met Wim Hof. He's a badass,
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a podcast. I'm so bad at numbers, but 2 of my students went and did the ice bath thing when he was here. I guess it would have been last year.
Yeah. That's when we went.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about the experience. So it's funny because, well, I'm going to try to move this around a little bit, but the world that you and I occupy, I picked up this thing and I couldn't help but pick it up, but it's been way over a decade. And then so we've seen a lot of things come and go, like the movements, the manifesting movement was really big. And then The Secret, and then I started to see, I think, oh, I don't even want to say this word, jaded, but I got to this point where I was like, yeah. Okay. You
Yeah.
know, or like, please don't tell me about another guru or another thing that's going to fucking fix my life
Oh,
overnight.
right.
So initially I was kind of dismissive of Wim Hof, you know, and I'm like, I know fucking pranayama. Fucking yogis have been doing that for like how fucking long? Why is everyone saying this is like, you know, yeah, this is not new. This,
Nope.
although he is such a great personality. Um, so when you first went in there, obviously Siri brought it to you through Rogan. So there's like a trust element there.
Sure. Yeah.
But was there a moment where you were like, because you had done your Kundalini teacher training, which has so much breathing.
Changed
Do
my
you
life.
do you connect the dots on that like the
Totally do.
right?
The whole guru shaman, this is the way, that whole bullshit.
Well, but also yes, that making you like, or at least making me like now, like when I first walked in, I was just like, and I say walked into this pseudo spiritual world or spiritual, the
Sure.
teaching world or whatever. I was just like, give me everything, right? It's all real, it's all true, and I'm just gonna like let it all just like come in because
Sure.
it's funny you talked about using drugs to escape. I think I was escaping through that world, through
Yeah.
yoga and meditation and
Oh, for sure. For
right.
sure. Yeah.
But do you find that the breathing in Kundalini is similar to the breathing Wim Hof? Or do they connect for you?
I don't find that they're similar. I find that they're equally as powerful.
Right.
Um, Again, Wim Hof breath is a very quick, powerful, punch in the face type thing that shifts you so fast. Like if I'm feeling any emotion, or if I'm feeling sick, you know, which hasn't happened for years, but if I'm feeling, or a migraine, it got rid of my migraine headaches, which is another
Oh,
reason. It's one of the things. So it's something that I can, if I'm feeling a certain way, I can go starfish on my bed, do 2-3 rounds of it, come back feeling totally shifted. But
right.
Daniel, you know me. When it comes to guru, shaman, all of that stuff, be your own guru, be your own shaman. I like to take things that for me move quickly, that are powerful. And don't get me wrong, I love doing long meditations and all of that. But with the way that I am, with my anxiety, with depression, with my brain that never stops, I like to be able to shift quickly.
Right.
So this was one of my tools that I found that enabled me to move quickly. And then when I met Wim Hof, you know, he's just like you and I. He's like, I'm not some kind of, you know, God or guru, you know, I just found this thing that worked for me and I want to share it with the world.
Right. Beautiful.
And he's funny as he, like, you would love him. He dropped
Yeah.
down in a full split in front of me. He was like, woo! And I was like, oh, damn.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's go back into your, you said depression, you said a few other things. So, and you didn't use this word, but I was hearing it in my head because it's like kind of a bit of a buzzword, but elements or moments that trigger you. Are you using this in that moment? But the more important question is, because when we get triggered, we go into unconsciousness very quickly.
Boom.
Where is the turnaround for you? So how do you stop like and go, okay, wait, I need to go do this breath. I need to go lay down. I need to do XXX. Like, because there's only a moment.
Yes, there is.
And then you don't even so how do you do that?
Okay. So I'll tell you the way that I do that. The way that I do that is I studied with a woman who you know very well, Miranda Barrett.
Oh, yeah.
Miranda changed my entire life. And she basically showed me that my inner child, who I've named Rosie, she's fierce. You know, she protected me throughout my whole life. And she is that, you know, she's a fighter. I'm not saying I have a split personality, but when this one comes in, if I get triggered, you know, I feel her energy. And when I feel that, I can either react, and that can be dangerous, And I did that for years, and it was really toxic for many and many of my relationships.
Right.
Or I can go do the Wim Hof breath. I can dance for a minute. I can step away from the situation. I can, make myself some food. But it really was working with Miranda Barrett that allowed me to fully see and love myself and notice when these triggers come up, because I'm a firecracker. I used to get really upset and be very reactive. And I'll tell you, that would not suit me in this time with all the toxicity and hatred going on social media, which is our only outlet really to speak to people.
Right.
There's wars going down out there, you know? So it's been, and sometimes I'll read a post and I have to go do the Wim Hof breath or go outside in nature. Nature is also one of my sanctuaries, and luckily we have our backyard. But if I'm feeling something, I immediately, like Eckhart Tolle says, I breathe, I bring myself into this moment and I say, am I okay? Yes. Is anyone being hurt? No. Am I being hurt? No. Is my family being hurt? No. Am I here now? Yes, I am,
Right.
and I breathe and I feel my breath, and I savor my breath now. I do a lot of breathing. Wim Hof, yes, but sometimes it's just like, okay, I need to take 5 deep breaths and just chill the F out.
Right. Did it take you a while to get to that point where you could actually go, hey, I need to, right?
Come on. Oh yeah. It took me a while, because we're talking, I'm 4.9 now, I'm about to be 50 years old to next year. So
congratulations.
it took me, thank you. It took me a very long time, but I love myself fully now. I see that is my hurt young inner child who went through hell, as so many of us in our generation did, because our parents didn't work on any of their shit, and that's okay. They're brilliant people, but we have taken so much of that on. And so we got to learn about ourselves. And luckily, as you know, my partner Siri is just brilliant.
Yeah, I love Siri, man.
Stayed by my side, which is incredible with all we've been through. So that's been really great too. But it did take me a while. But once you start working on yourself, you start seeing how you can affect people. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, because if someone really gets under my skin, I can still, my fire comes out. But I really try to walk away and try to take the higher path, because when that does happen, I never feel good about myself.
Yeah. Well, something similar happened to us where we had posted something on Facebook about something about our current situation. I think we posted something similar where we were asking questions, and I was just asking questions on Facebook. Yeah. Has someone seen this video? Can anyone verify this? And people were really fucking horrible about me even asking. And I'm like, wait a second, motherfuckers. And I went into that, that place. Like, I let myself go into the argument, saying, but like being pissed, hey, can't we have a fucking conversation at this point? But sadly, I think sometimes the answer is no.
No, right now, no.
Yeah. But I watched you do this exact same thing that I just had gone through. And I was like, this is kind of not safe.
No, it's not. And I took that post down because people were battling each other on it. And a white supremacist copied and pasted my post on his page. And I will not tolerate that.
Oh, geez.
Here's the thing, though. Right now, we are in a time of total division, a time of black and white. There is no unity. There is no middle ground.
Right.
I'm in the middle ground. I'm not being caught up by any side. I'm not saying I'm into any, I'm open to hearing everything, and I will sit and I will watch this play out. I will not battle on Facebook or Instagram or on a text chain or anything, because wars on social media cannot be won. You're literally sitting behind a keyboard and wasting your time if you're fighting, and you never come out of it feeling good, ever.
No.
And you're not changing anybody's mind. They're in their mode, and that's that. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I said the other day, it's like suddenly everyone has PTSD.
Shit. Seriously.
Yeah.
I hope it's okay that I'm swearing on here.
Yeah, we swear.
Okay.
Yeah. This is, you know, you guys do a podcast. So this is, I mean, I pay for the server. I can pretty much, as far as I know, do whatever the fuck I want,
Fuck yeah.
however I want. And, you know, it's my situation and it doesn't matter. So
Checking it.
the women's circle,
Yes.
and did you put that together or Miranda or, oh, great. Tell us about the women's circle.
Yeah, so unfortunately I haven't done it for a couple weeks. You know, I'll be real honest, this quarantine hasn't been easy. It's brought up a lot of shadows for me, a lot of darkness, a lot of pain. I feel the world. So it's been really tough. So I was doing the women's circle, and then with doing yoga every day and that offering, and then with some things that were going on in my life, I've stopped, but I'm actually starting it up next week again. So on Thursday, the Women's Circle is a place that we speak to each other with love and kindness. If you have an opinion that differs from somebody else, that's okay. Because most of the women there, like we know each other.
Right.
We're open to new people for sure. And now we know each other. The funny thing is that in the beginning, I really opened it up and it was so huge, Daniel. I mean, 43 people on Zoom.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't know what I was doing. So this whole Zoom thing is a whole new thing for me. I was never good at technology, you know. I don't even know how to use one of those microphones you got by. That's a badass microphone, by the way.
Thank you.
You know? So it's just like, I love community, Daniel. I always have. That was part of Fire Groove. That was part of Runyon Canyon. You know, I love human beings. I love seeing people interact. I love having people that I can turn to when stuff like this goes down. So I am coming back with that, but you know, it's a smaller circle now, and we really talk freely in that circle.
Great.
Yeah, it's really a blessing. But all those women, you know, one of the things that I think is so important during this time is reaching out to people you love. So I constantly am reaching out to all those women and talking to them, be it on Marco Polo FaceTime. I actually meet with people outside, you know, with masks on. So
right.
Yeah.
Great. You said something that it didn't trigger me, but
Yeah.
it made, you said feeling the world.
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning of all of this shit, which I haven't talked a lot about, I felt like a lot of weight, you know, and I didn't know what to do with it. And it was a good eye opener for me.
Yeah.
As Yvette had took a picture of me, and I was sitting on my door stoop, like with my holding my face, and I'm like, you're holding the fucking world on your shoulders. That's not your responsibility, you know. But it was a good wake up for me to, you know, to see that, because it's too heavy. It's nobody's, you know, space. Is that kind of? Did you feel a bit of that?
I did, for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely felt that, and that is exactly what you said was so poignant and so perfect. It's not our problem to carry the weight of the world. However, it's really hard for people like us, for any human that has any bit of compassion or empathy, to not feel what has happened, because in 1 week, almost a couple days, we're locked in our houses, we're quarantined, we have no jobs, we have no source of income, we can't walk outside, we have to wear, you know, it's like, what? Whoa, you know, like, whoa, what is happening? And then if you do, you get shamed and you are just beat down, and so it's like you're kind of trapped in this box. If you're in a relationship, you're with your partner. When do you and your partner spend 24/7 together for 5 months? But we didn't know that in the beginning, you know, but I was like, this is interesting, you know?
Yeah.
So I felt it.
Yeah. Because in the beginning, we just thought it was a moment. And I think had they have said in the beginning it was going to be this long, people ran out screaming into the streets.
Oh, for sure.
You
I
know?
think things would be much different. And, you know, our economy will take probably, I think it's going to take, who knows if it will ever go back to where it was, you know, my industry, other industries, entertainment. Who knows?
Yeah, is that FGE?
Yeah, Fire Group Entertainment.
Okay, because I saw that and I wrote it down. It's one of my questions.
Yeah.
So, but you're not doing, and you were doing like party things where you guys would show up and be dressed like Game of Thrones people,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
and was that was what it was strictly?
Well, I have an entertainment company, and basically we do all kinds of different types of entertainment for very high profile clients here in LA, and then for HBO and for so many different other companies, for Elon Musk, for, you know, like I've worked with so many people in LA. It's unbelievable. 20 years of that, you know, it started off with Fire Group.
Right.
But regardless of who I work with, you know, I'm like a bridge. I'm basically who I am, and I love working with people because I give them a little glimpse into my crazy hippie yogi wild world, you know, the entertainment that we bring. And so I think that's really important. But that is completely halted. There are no jobs on the horizon. You know, with AB5, the law that the Democrats are just so up in arms about, there may not be any chance of independent contractors working again. And I am a Democrat.
Right.
I don't believe in any of the political parties right now. I'm like a centrist. So,
Yeah. And I don't talk much about politics on this, but I am registered as a nonpartisan.
good for you. Yeah, I don't want to talk about politics either. It's like, it's crazy time. But, you know, it's like that separation that I talked about in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm this group and I'm that group and I'm that, and everybody is so, you know, conformed to one way. There's so much polarity, and it's like, can't we just be and make our mind, you know, about what we believe in as we go along in life? Because I've changed my mind many times, I'll tell you.
Yes. That is it's funny. I was being interviewed once about, I was playing the Malcolm X festival with this band I was playing with. And they said, what is your favorite thing about Malcolm X? And I said, you know, he changed his mind 3 times throughout his life, like U-turns that were unpopular. And that's a very difficult thing to do.
So beautiful though.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a lot of strength.
Yes, it does take a lot of strength. And here's the thing. It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled.
Right.
So if you conform to one way of thinking, and this is the only way, there's so many other ways. And it's like, you know, I have friends that are vaxxers, anti-vaxxers, Democrats, Republicans, Trump supporters, Bernie, Biden, whatever, you know, and those are some of the big, loud subjects right now. Plandemic people that love the Plandemic movie, people that think crazy, mask, anti-mask. I love them all, you know? It's like we have a right to believe in whatever we want to. That was my big beef with that whole video that we posted. I was like, I don't care if she believes in demon sperm and, you know, whatever the lady believed in. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is if she was helping some people, if she had found something that helps, instead of just bashing her, why don't we lift her up and support this? Because we, you know, we clearly need some help.
Yeah. Or like go ahead. Or take a look at it. Just say, hey, is this relevant? I mean, I literally posted it and said, can anyone give me thoughts on this? And I got just people pissed.
Same. You know, 2 hours. I posted it. I went and taught yoga. I came back, 250 comments. I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah. I keep hearing this thing in my head because I guess apparently now I've survived 2 Los Angeles riots. And I keep hearing from the old 92 or whatever, can't we all just get along? And sometimes I'm like, I'm sadly, I think I know the answer to that, you know? We could, but we are not.
Nope.
It's very difficult for me, and it's been a great teacher for me.
Yeah.
You know, to, you know, I hear a lot of people, you know, talking about like changing the world, sending their energy somewhere. I'm like, and it really clued me in. Change yourself. That's it.
Boom.
Right.
Boom.
That's the old, yeah.
That's all we can do. You
Yes.
know, I work with some amazing plant medicines. I do not kill people at all. I think it's so irresponsible, in my opinion, for someone to call themselves a healer. Now, if you're in an indigenous tribe and that has been the name that you have taken on because it's a different vibe. But here, it's like, if I work with somebody with combo and they have a huge shift, first of all, they walk through the door and had the heart and were brave enough to come in and sit with this frog secretion that is life-changing, but also if you Google it, it could be scary as shit. Okay. I facilitate, I do Reiki, I do breath work with them, but they are the ones that made this happen. You know, you came up to yoga, you had an amazing experience. If I were to say, I was the teacher that taught Yogi Daniel, and you know, it's like, no, you came, you brought your ass up to that hill, even when it was challenging. You made a choice to do that yoga. You made a choice to become a badass teacher. You did that.
Right.
It had nothing to do with me. I was sitting up on the hill teaching yoga and going through alcoholism at the time.
Right.
You know? So it's like wounded healers are everywhere right now. It's like the savior complex is huge. Everybody wants to save someone, or I can fix it or change it or convince it. No. All we can do is be the best version of ourselves, which takes work. My God, the work.
Yeah, very uncomfortable.
We're so uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. You mentioned a couple things, and I'm just gonna go there because it's screaming out to me. So you talked about alcoholism and sobriety, and then taking responsibility for yourself. So we don't need to go into too much detail, although we can if you want to. So I've done the 12 steps.
Yes.
And I've done them, like I've been through all 12 kind of quickly, and then I've been again up to number 4, which is a motherfucker.
Oh,
yeah. But I had a spiritual awakening, you know, and I don't know that we're supposed to talk about this or not, but as promised, I had a spiritual awakening from doing the 12 steps. And that spiritual awakening was very simple. If there's a problem, it's your fault. Right? Yep. And that was very and that sounds very personally judging of myself and stuff, but no, it's your life.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I was just sat there and I was like, wow.
I love those aha moments. That's beautiful.
Yeah, because
steps rehab changed my life completely. They gave me a place, a time where I could just be me without any substances, which I was terrified to do, you know, but it allowed me to see myself in all the bullshit and the beauty, you know, and I'm so grateful. Would I go to an AA meeting now with a friend? I would, for sure. If somebody needed to go, I would go. But I truly believe that when you're ready, you will be able to, with a support group, get sober. Like you definitely, for me, I needed help. I needed a group of people that understood who I was. And for me, when I read the big book of alcoholics and when I sat in those rooms in the beginning, it felt so comforting. But then I noticed that so many times people wouldn't leave the rooms, and they'd be in there for years and years and years, and they'd be in there 5, 6, 7 times a day. No judgment against that. but I have a lot to do on the outside of the world. And I needed to know that I could be safe in my body and exit those rooms and still be sober. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I think it's in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm not sure, but it's about there's this God is talking to, I think it's Arjuna, and he says you have a responsibility. You have to have one foot on earth and one foot in the heavens, not one or the other.
Yes.
It's like you didn't come to earth just try to spend your whole time being in the heavens. It's like you don't come to earth to sit in a cave and meditate your whole life until you're dead. It's like, why come?
Right.
So
right. That's a beautiful, another analogy. Yes, exactly. That's a beautiful parable to what is, what life is and how we need to separate ourselves from things and be the best version that we can. And like AA took me to a certain point for sure. And, I was dead sober for 2.5 years. Then I sat with 5-MeO DMT and my whole life changed. I've done that one time in my life. And in that moment, my whole life changed because I saw, one, the cosmic joke that we're living in. Right. 2, how connected we all are. 3, that we're living a dream completely and we make it whatever it is that we make it. We cause our own problems, or however you said it, it's like, that's that. And then the last thing I learned was any opportunity that presents itself to you is yours for the taking. If you have if you go all out for it, like it's there for a reason. And I've tried to live my life in that way since that moment. Like if something presents itself to me, go for it.
Yeah, it takes time to get to that either fearless place or this, I remember I was going to write a book about yoga, which I did.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I was like, there's probably already books about yoga. Why would someone want to read my book about yoga? And I used to go to the library and I would look and I'm like, there's 1 million books here. Why not me? So I used to use that why not me stance just to go forward before I got to this, like, well, who even cares? So just pull the trigger, man. Pull the trigger.
If your story helps or is an example of change for one human being, you've done something fucking incredible, Daniel. And your story is unique. It's powerful. Who cares about all the other yogis? Like, I loved reading that book. I thought it was fantastic. And I loved your story. And that's the thing, is like, if we all had the guts to share our story, people look at me and they think so often, and I can't stand this. Oh, she's got it all together, all figured out, looks a certain way. Even Miranda said that when I first went to her. You look so put together. I'm just like, I'm fucking barely holding it together at this point, man. Like I'm working on myself every day. That's why I'm like, if you think I'm a guru or a shaman, you're crazy. Right. You don't want to follow me.
Yeah. That's so awesome that you can talk about that and admit that, because I've had this experience, and well, I'm not obviously now because I'm not teaching giant public classes, but I've been in my black market yoga that who knows where that's, but it's when I used to do it. I walked into my room and saw on 3 occasions yoga teachers giving their business cards and talking to my students and inviting them other places. And I would get really freaked out by that, because like this is part of how I survive, and all this stuff. And I told someone about it, and they're like, no one sees you as a person who's concerned about one student. Everyone sees you as like the winner, right? The one who like did this thing. And they're not thinking that they're like, trying to take something or whatever. They don't even think that you can be taken from, because you're at this level. You're at this other level. And I was like, what the fuck?
Right. Yeah. Well, a lot of that is the stories in our mind of I am not enough.
Right.
Why are people here? Trust me, I can't tell you the amount of times that's gone through my head, but the thing is so often people leave your class. I've been to your class. You feel so open, so thankful. You're walking into a community of people so loving, and you cultivated and created that, So it's like they're walking in to your room, almost your house, and there's an energy there that feels so comforting, that feels like a community that they can trust. So they could have been passing cards, but it could have been like, oh my God, who knows? The yogi might have needed help from the other person who was a fucking cat bather or something, and she had a cat that needed help. Like you and I am really good at creating stories in my mind.
Yes.
The problem is that stories that my mind creates are usually bullshit. Because my mind will go, which is why I like the Wim Hof breath and other things that bring me into the moment. But we just have to, what I've had to do is just breathe, because you and I went through a big thing up at Runyon Canyon Yoga where a certain teacher was being very disingenuous and really had no integrity with the way that she handled certain things.
Right.
That they handled certain things. And it felt really uncomfortable, and you and I talked about it. And I actually got really, really upset about that because, first of all, I wasn't even close to the person I am now. Right. The epochs of change that have happened since that moment are huge. So, it's like the thing is that we don't own anything. We don't control anything except for ourselves. And that's something that I've just really have been cherishing and working on. It's just like, Kamala, that shouldn't affect you. They're coming to your class. And if they never show up again, well, that's on them, Right. Like what we do, Daniel, no one else can do what we do individually. I can't do what you do. You can't do what I do. We all have something to offer,
Right.
Which is beautiful. And it's like our own thumbprint. And I love that. So it's like, I also, like when I look at myself, I love teaching. I love going to different healers, people take me to a certain point, and then I'm like, what's more, what's out there, So when I look at myself and use myself as a mirror, I'm like, okay, well, I got to ease off on people then, because maybe they need to see other teachers as well. And so it's interesting, but I hear you.
Yeah, it was a great moment, and it was maybe even confusing, but that's, because like you said about being the oldest, we are chopping through the bamboo forest. So it's like, there was a lot of moments where I'm like, who can I call to ask about this? Because I don't know how to deal with these things. I should have.
You did.
Did I? Yes.
Like you might have. I kind of remember this happening.
Yeah.
But I think that it's interesting too, Daniel, because I'll be real open. If I'm feeling the weight of the world and I'm down, you might not get the answer that the Kamala on the highest path is on. You might get the rosy answer. You know what I mean? So yes. I really do my best, but some things still make me angry. I'm not impervious to bullshit. So
yeah. Go ahead.
No, go.
Tell me about the stories in our heads, because it's and I just want to preface it a little bit and then let you go with it, because I'm not going to, most people, that's such a judgmental kind of thing, but like becoming aware that there is a story in your head that is not necessarily fucking reality is a step of enlightenment.
Fuck yeah.
But like, then there's the next step of like removing yourself from the story in your head that's not your story. And like where you don't even have to get into where the story came from, but tell me about the story or facing the story.
Yeah, facing the story is humbling. Facing the story is realizing that voice in my head, or that ominous voice, which is not really even a voice, it's just there, is nothing but the fucking fantastic, brilliant minds of we humans, you know, and our minds never stop. But if I were to follow everything that my mind said, or to take in everything that my mind said, I'd be batshit crazy. And the thing is that the mind, or the ego, you know, is like, it's like Rosie. It's like the inner child is like, oh, I'm not going to let anything come after you. I got you. I'm going to protect you. And it's like, then we have our spirit voice going, we're fine. Everything's good. There's nothing happening here, you know? So when the stories in my mind go off, if it's about a certain person and I'm making something up, what I do now is I will call that person or write them, you know, which is hard and humbling, you know, because a lot of times people are like, Kamala, gosh, thanks for telling me, but that's completely bullshit. But I also have had people do that to me. You know, they're like, I'm feeling this certain way about you. Can we talk about it? I'm like, sure, you know, and this is a story in my head. And I'm like, well, here's reality, you know? So it's like, you know, we need to be humble. We need to be vulnerable, authentic, and raw. And that's a bitch. And it's hard, you know, and that doesn't have to be that's for people that you love and cherish, your soul tribe, your community, those, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then also, if you have a social media platform and you have a voice, try to be as authentic as you can, you know? And that's always interesting because I love posting photos, you know, it's fun, but I try to always have a very powerful message with those photos. That's something powerful for me, it's a vulnerable share about my life, you know? But right. So back to the voices in my head, when I hear them, I take a step back because now I can identify them, which is what Miranda helped me with. So I'm like, oh, story. Let's take a break, Kamala. Let's sit back. Let's breathe. Or if it's really bothering me, let's go up and do the Wim Hof breath. Or, you know, I have 4 dogs and 3 foster puppies. They're my golden, you know, like I go to my animals and I will pet them and my serotonin boosts, you know, and so those things are my tool. I have to have tools in my belt and I have to use them, not just have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been using a mantra lately. And it almost doesn't matter what the mantra is, but like the story can get rabid, you know? And it's like, rah, 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 you need to do something. You need to do, and then the story gets bigger and bigger, and then you're living out the story, and you know, it is absolute insanity. It is total madness. But recognizing it is a beautiful thing, and then attempts to tame it or say, oh, well, you know, I hear that, but I'm not really listening, or just go into, you know, mantra, like just drowning it out with other words. It's
sure, drowning it out.
Yeah.
You're able to do that, huh?
I am. It can sometimes be more insisting than other times. And then like if I'm really, then I'll go and I'll read spiritual literature or 12-step literature and or I'll write. Go ahead.
So when you drown it out, see what I hear you saying, or what I think I hear you saying, is that you drown it out to a point that you're able to see it, recognize it, and then move forward.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm?
Yes, or do more work, or go to sleep. If you're like, you got to go to sleep, and then there's a story.
I love that. That's powerful, Daniel. That's your tools. You know, and one thing I do all the time, and one thing that's helped me immensely through quarantine is I'm a poetry junkie.
Oh, wow.
I love poems. I follow some of the most amazing poets. And I read these things, and so I also love people that have gone through hell. So that's the poetry I like, is that I can relate to, you know? And I read something from someone who's just fucking struggled in their life. And I'm like, wow, I am so grateful to be where I am right here, right now. And I'm able to breathe again. So you read like Rupi Kaur or Thug Unicorn or Topher Kirby, and I read every day. I read poems every day in yoga, you know?
Okay, right.
But it's just like, I go back, I will sit, if I'm feeling the weight of the world, I will sit, I will read poetry.
That's great. You know, it's, I haven't read in a while, but I'm actually reading the book that you and Siri are reading.
Yeah.
The breath book, which if we have time, we'll talk about.
Yeah.
I read a lot of Charles Bukowski, and he is a Los Angeles writer, and it kind of like Skid Row, alcoholism, poverty life. And I always, at first I saw it as like a glamorization of this, but there was something happening on a subconscious level that I couldn't explain, like this comfort that he gave me. And it was his authenticity and this simple style and this also like an understanding of the pain of life, you know, and how he was very kind of, you didn't feel alone. Like when you read it, you felt like there was someone, oh, well, here's someone who understands, you know, and yeah.
I love that. And that is exactly why it's so important for us to share our stories.
Right.
Not just us, but everyone. Like, you know, we all have, I call it medicine inside us, our own medicine, you know, whereas our story, because we've all been through hell. I feel like I don't know many people that have been like, I had the best family ever and everything's perfect. It's like, right. Really? Whoa. Well, let me hear about that, because that's not fucking alien, you know? So it's just like when we're able to be authentic and vulnerable and raw and share what we've been through, what we came from, because people will see what they want to see. But when you share that, it gets to the heart, you know? It's like, I see you, I feel you, you know?
Yeah, well, it's almost as if like in those moments and of sharing, that it stops becoming the words and it stops becoming the story, and it becomes this vibrational connection that says something else.
Yes.
That no one can explain, but gives us understanding.
Exactly.
Right.
Is why you and I have become dear friends through the years. It's
yes.
like, you know, like if people were, an outside view would be like, whoa, you guys, you're, you know, very different. You do different things, hang in different groups. But when I'm with you, I'm just like, I love this man. I love your story. You've been kind enough to open up to me and be vulnerable. And that allows also me to feel safe. And that's the thing, is that safety. It's like, oh shit, you've been through something. Well, if you're offering something up, a pearl from your heart, I'm going to offer that too. I'm going to feel safe enough to do that with you. Instead of being this closed off person that's so cool that, you know, whatever it is people think of us, it's like, you know, those few people that you're able to open up to and share. There's something really special about that. And that's why it's just people that write about it. And I've always wanted to write. I think it's fantastic, but I have a lot of fear about doing that and truly sharing all this shit.
Yeah. I understand that fear. But, you know, maybe if we didn't fear it, it wouldn't be worth it.
Right?
Just
I know.
to, you know, go out and do it.
How to do it.
Yeah.
Because my poetry's dark AF. It's so dark, you know, and I'm like, I'm reading them. I'm like, wow, should I don't know if I should post this, but I write it to just free my body from it. You know, maybe someday I'll post it and talk about it. I don't know, but it feels good to at least get it out.
It is good to get it out, because when I do the mantra to stop the story in my head, when I read to stop the story in my head, sometimes I'll write the story down.
Yeah.
And it's like the combo experience, because you're throwing it up, right?
Yeah.
And then it's gone.
Yes.
And then maybe you have to throw it up several times.
Hell yeah.
Because that story, you know, how many times have you told that story? Oh, that fucking story. But if you rarely go, oh, that story, you get right in. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's so true. And the more that we're able to talk about it, write it, work on it, it just diffuses until it's like, you're like, oh shit, that was a story.
Right. It's funny because I told Miranda once, I said, Jesus Christ, if I have to tell this story one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. She's like, that's a good sign. Because I just don't want to hear it again, you know?
I
Like,
love
I
that.
don't want to, I'm tired of this story.
Right.
Which,
Right. Exactly.
yeah,
And that's when you know it's time for that story to be retired, you know?
yes, yeah.
My gosh.
But it takes some time because it's connected to our ego. It's like this whole thing of like, because I have the same thing. I'm the eldest.
Right.
I went out to prove myself in the world, you know, or all these things. And you talked about like this, the guarding ourselves with, I used to guard myself with anger. And it's this woman who has a new name that everyone's talking about, who now I can't remember in the moment, a new pop culture self-help guru lady. Um, she says something about your armor that you develop as a child at some point. Brene Brown, I think. Maybe
I,
she said this, maybe she didn't, I don't know.
okay.
But we'll say I said it then. Your armor that you build to protect yourself as a child, because for whatever reason you feel like you need to be protected,
Right.
eventually turns in on you.
Ooh. Fuck
Right,
yes.
right.
Yes, for sure. Because my story, one of my biggest stories, has been I don't have a real father. You know, I have an
Right,
amazing father,
right.
but my real father, biological father, sperm donor, whatever you want to call him, I don't know him. I've never known him. I found out throughout this, you know, during right before, well, I found out that I was African, but I'm American, so African American. You know, almost a third African. I never knew this. You
Right.
know, and so I'm like I grew up in an all white community with all white people. You know, I used to be dark. I've turned white through the years because of my skin condition, vitiligo. So it's such a wild story. You know, this whole story surrounding my dad, and there's so much, and I've really had to like, and through quarantine, Daniel, on 23andMe, I found a sister, 30%
Oh,
DNA match. And that's a whole story we won't get into. But,
right.
you know, like that this is a big story for me. And it's something that I have to keep unpacking.
Yeah.
Things keep coming up. You know, I thought I'd gotten a lot over most of it. And then the whole George Floyd killing happened and the Black Lives Matter thing went out of, and I was like, oh, damn. Like, here I am, almost a third black, a third African, and I don't even know anything about my culture. You know, like I was raised in an all white community. I was the ethnic population, but I feel like I have a black soul. Like I'm definitely like, I don't know, there's so much about the African culture and my African American friends that I just love and have been so drawn to, you
Right.
know? But it's like, I wish that I would have grown up around my black relatives, you know, but I don't know any of them. I wish that I could look at my grandma, you know, my aunts, my uncles, but Miranda did bring them into a session once. But it's like, you know, that's a whole part of me that I don't know. So that's dad's story. So it's like, okay, keep unpacking,
Right.
keep breathing. You learn about your African roots then, Kamala, which I have,
Yeah.
you know, and embraced.
Yeah. I
So it's
remember when you did that and you had posted on social media the percentages.
yeah, yeah.
But that unpacking is so interesting because you start unpacking this bag and then at some point you're like not even unpacking the same bag anymore. You're just like,
Right?
what? Wait, what just like the switch happens? And
Yeah.
again, that's another because I have this theory that enlightenment is not a vest.
No,
Enlightenment, it's a step, and then you're like, oh, I'm enlightened. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. Oh, next step. Oh, I'm enlightened. Oh, no, I'm not. And you keep rediscovering, and each step of enlightenment shows you how much you don't know.
no doubt. I know nothing, Jon Snow. That's how I feel now. I'm just like, wait a minute. I thought I knew so much. Like, what happened, you know? And
Yeah,
I'm just like, and you know, what is enlightenment anyway? It's like there are moments I feel like I have where I feel so enlightened, meaning connected to the earth, to my body, to my breath, to other humans, and to all sentient beings. And then there's moments that I feel like I can't freaking move. I'm paralyzed, you know? So
Right.
it's like, I feel like enlightenment is something that we can work towards, but maybe it happens when we leave this body, you know?
Right. So I'm
I'm
going
just,
to zoom,
I don't
go.
know.
I want to zoom that back around because people say when we leave the body, we have a DMT experience. So, and you talked about that earlier, and I wrote down a question, which is why I'm doing this from time to
Sure,
time.
yeah.
Um, tell me about the cosmic joke. If you can describe the cosmic joke.
God, you're really going deep on this one. This is a
Yeah.
tough one because it's a joke, because to me it's this constant loop. It's like you are the child, yet you are you are the sage, you are the gosh. Okay, so when you do 5-MeO DMT or ayahuasca, you have to surrender completely. And what that means is that you have to completely let go of this realm and know that you're going to be taken on a journey and you have no idea where the fuck you're going. Okay? When you surrender like that, the things that you feel and see when you're like, just take me, like just take my body. There's this beautiful feeling of comfort that I can't explain at all. It's ineffable, really. It's such like you are safe. Like I've had moments very recently, and maybe off of this podcast we can talk about this because it would take too long, but I recently had a 12-hour out of body experience that made, and I honestly thought someone had somehow drugged me, that I'd gotten sucked up by the Q people, and things went through my mind that were crazy. And if I would have kept thinking about these things, I would have I think I could have ended up in the hospital and I probably called crazy. Luckily I had Miranda, I had Siri, I had all these people. Siri watched over me for 12 hours. I had to completely surrender my body, my place here, but I was told by spirit or higher power that everything that I would be safe, that I would be okay. But I had to completely let go. I turned into the earth, the sun, the moon, like the psychedelic, the visions I had were crazy. I took nothing, Daniel. I was totally sober, and this hit me like that. And it was a 12-hour out of body experience. So there was these loops that kept playing. To me, these loops are like the cosmic joke. And it's basically like, you are just here to enjoy life, to love, to be happy, to be the best version of you. That's it. So everything else is bullshit, and it's a joke. Right. It's like anyone who gets so caught up, Kamala, when you get so caught up in these things that don't matter, you're literally wasting your time. Like you are here to do so much more. And not just me, every single one of us has the power to be such a force. But there's so much fear. When fear is just, what is it? It's a prediction of something we think is going to happen, or going back into something that had happened that has nothing to do with us now. And right. Fear is such an illusion. And it's so much of the story that goes on in our head and the ego. It's like, oh my God, like right now, I could get sick if I don't wear a mask and I don't wear gloves. And if I don't sanitize this and I don't do that. And you know what? That's, if you're living with somebody immune compromised, or even if you are or very paranoid, or fearful or scared, whatever, that was not the nicest thing to say, but you got to look out for yourself in the best way that you can. But the thing is like, if we wash our hands, if we, do all these things, is that guaranteed to keep us safe? No. Right. So are we going to let our minds go down this fearful path, or are we just going to do the best we can, be respectful of others, like try to look out for the greater of all good and not be super selfish? Because I'm telling you, one of the funniest things to me is, oh, they're controlling me with this mask. It's a fucking mask. No one can control me with a mask. Like, I've been to the Church of Scientology. I've been to some crazy places. There's no UFO sweeping down to get me. Like no one's controlling this right here.
Right.
It's just
Right.
not happening. And it's definitely not happening through a friggin' mask for sure. So that's one of the things that I'm just like, God, if I'm going to go to the grocery store, I'm going to wear a mask. Why? Because I don't mind making other people feel safe, and that won't control me. It just can't, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, we all have a right to our own thing. So the cosmic joke is this constant loop that we get so stuck in, that we're not enough, that we are here to fucking suffer, you know? And it's like, whenever I go into these super spiritual experiences that I've had, and I don't go and sit with Aya or 5-MeO DMT like over and or even combo. I'm not one of the, I hear the message, I'm like, okay, time to do the work, you know? And that's just me, because it's intense, dude.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, like this 12-hour experience I had, I was not happy about it. I was terrified, but it was also fucking beautiful. And I knew that if I didn't surrender, that something really bad could happen to me. So I had to let go. Same with Aya. It's like I was terrified to go sit with ayahuasca, but she called me with an actual voice. And I was like, well, okay. I
Right.
guess she's got something to say, and damn did she ever, you know?
Yeah.
Same with all the and the plant world is fucking mystical. It's magical. It makes no sense. How can a plant medicine speak to you? How can combo change my life the way that it did and literally make me feel fearless and so much love, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that these traumatic experiences are like thrust upon us because we were ignoring something for a long time?
Like the one that I just had, the 12-hour one.
Yeah. Or anything.
I think it depends. I think that, well, first of all, the experience that I had, I don't want to call it traumatic. So just to address that, I feel like it needed to happen so that I could feel truly grateful for what I have, and also know, like I know very truly, that the earth needs our help and should be our fucking number one focus right now. But instead it's politics, it's this, it's that, it's I'm in this group, you're in that group. It's the polarity and the division, and people are forgetting what we really need to focus on, which is our planet, which is our friends, our community, you know, joy.
Yes.
You know, like we're so divided right now that we are in our homes and cannot see or speak to people. We can't go out, you know. I'm just saying, of course we can, but it's like, you know, if you have a party, your water's going to get shut off. And then of course, if you have people that are immune compromised and you go to this party, what if you bring something back to them? So there's, you know, there's like a lot of fear and division. But these traumatic experiences that happen, yeah, they do. I think they do happen for a reason. Is it a bad reason? I don't know. I think maybe it's to really show us something that maybe we've overlooked, or a pattern we've repeated over and over, and it's kind of like, done.
Yeah.
Let's end this
Exactly.
now. Let me show
Right.
you something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something a couple podcasts ago. I talked about something I had never talked about, which was something similar to that happened to you, but it was much quicker for me, and it was softer. And so you said something, and I don't. You can correct me. And I thought you said you heard a voice in your head that said something to the effect of, "Everything is okay," or "You're in the right place."
Yeah.
That is what I heard when I
Yeah.
had my experience. Did you hear that as a words or as a feeling? Was it something like that?
Yeah, it's like this. It's again one of those things that's completely ineffable. Meaning it's so hard to put into words, because yes, I heard a voice. Was it the voice of my constant chatter? No. It was to me, that voice could have been right outside my window. And it was beautiful. It was like the voice of every loving mother in the world, and grandmother put together, and sister, and you know, like it was just like, it was so powerful, you know? And that's the voice that's spoken to me all through any ayahuasca ceremony. I feel like it's almost like, and this is probably going to sound completely crazy, but like, it's like the voice of the universe, or great spirit, whatever that means to you. You know, I believe in everyone's version of God as long as it's just kind and loving. And, you know, so I have my version of God, which is like the Force in Star Wars. I think we've talked about that.
Right.
You know, it's definitely not the version of the Catholics or the Christians or anything else, but that's fine. Like, we can all have our own versions and love each other. You know, so I feel like it's the voice of Creator, Great Spirit, or the universe, and it feels so damn comforting. So it's
How do we stay in touch with that voice?
yeah, I wish I knew that exactly. And I feel like that might be why a lot of people chase plant medicines, is trying to hear that voice again.
Right.
I think that if we're just the best versions of ourselves that we can be in the moment, and that doesn't mean we're not going to fall down or fuck up, or, you know, what is fucking up anyway? It's just another way of learning more, learning something, going through something we didn't know. So I feel like just really being authentic, being vulnerable, being real, and opening ourselves up to it, you know, like constantly when I'm meditating, I'm like, if there's anything, you know, sometimes in tears, please, if there's anything I need to know, just let me know, show me a sign, you know, like, you know, just open ourselves up to it, and also take time to be quiet and actually listen, you know. And I'm not saying like you might not hear a voice, and that voice might not be what you expect. Like, what did your voice sound like? Can you explain? Can you?
Yeah, I'll tell the story very briefly, and I'll see if I can relive it so that I can make it. I was in this period where I was doing a ton of meditation. I was doing yoga at Runyon with you and everyone else up there, and I would sit on my bed. I would just sit sometimes and just stare, or I would sit and read. But I did a lot of nothing, and I was sitting, and I don't know if I was reading or not, and I felt a presence coming into me from the top, from my head, and it started to come down. And when it got to my lungs, I started to kind of freak out because I didn't know what was going on. And it was like a little bit hard to breathe. And I was like, and I like pushed it out.
Okay.
And then when I pushed it out, like, and I don't know if everything happened in the same moment or if it happened because I was like in an altered state. And, but I feel like I heard a voice that said, "You're in the right place," which to me meant everything's okay.
Yes.
And it said, "You're in the right place." And then like I stood up and I looked around the room that I was in, and everything looked like it had been polished.
Oh,
And it had like this shine, and there was like light coming off of it.
yes.
Yeah. So yeah. And then I kept this feeling, you're in the right place. You're in the right place.
Gosh, I can so relate to that feeling of like the polished, beautiful perfection of it all.
Yeah.
Like for me, when these things happen, there's almost like a for lack of better words, I so try. It's almost like this rainbow crystal grid that attaches everything around me to to each other. Like it's like this feeling of such deep connection that is so comforting. And then I get this confirmation through this voice, and it doesn't, like, that has happened to me. It happened with this 12-hour experience, and we'll talk about that at a different time. It was intense, but it was like there was a voice constantly, not constantly, but when I got really deep into it, talking to me and telling me that I would be okay, and that Siri was there to ground me. And also, and this was one of the most important things that I had, there was 3 very specific people that love me so much that no matter what I tell them, they will love and accept me, and they will not call me crazy. They will be like, wow, that's amazing. And it was like, call those people. And then it was there's such a big focus on time, because I'm like, my time's so valuable. Show up on time, be there on time, time. And there was this big like, Kamala, loosen up on the time. Everything will happen at the right time. And because I was like, was like, okay, I'm in this experience, but I have things to do tomorrow. And it was like, no, you don't. And everything will work out fine. And you actually need to take a break because you've been going too hard. And I, you know, the words that I'm saying were not the words that were, but it's, the voice is always so damn reassuring, so loving, and so completely knowing that we are doing our best, that we are enough. It's like this mother, and my mom's amazing, but it's like this mother, grandmother, grandfather, father that you just, the words you always want to hear. And that you have heard probably, you know, maybe just not in the way that you wanted to, and maybe they haven't sunk in because of all the other bullshit that surrounds family and everything else. But it's just like the voice of complete and total unconditional love. It's like if a dog could talk.
Yeah. Did you say a dog or God?
Yeah, I said it's like if your dog could talk.
Yeah. Dogs are great.
Oh.
It was International Dog Day yesterday.
I know, and I totally missed posting about that. I feel terrible. I might have to post today.
Yeah, post today.
I was with 7 dogs yesterday. I was trying to get them to poop and eat and everything. You know, they're 3 weeks old, not even 3 weeks old. So I was in International Dog Day.
Yeah, you don't got to post about it. You lived it.
Yeah.
We are nearing the end, and I often ask people the same question, although I feel like we already did it, but I'm going to ask anyways. What do you want to tell the world?
Just be you, be authentic, and know that you are so fucking needed right here, right now. Life is tough. I don't think it's easy for any of us, but it is so possible to overcome even the tallest mountains in our lives. And, you know, I am living proof of that. You know, life takes work, and it can be hard, but it's also the most beautiful work. It's that work on ourselves, which is like the good stuff. It's like the juice, you know, and it's never done. That's the crazy thing. But it's so worth it because, you know, you do that work in yourselves and you're able to have a fucking beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
You know, because those relationships are straight up mirrors for us and our shit. So you got to work on yourself. If you want a good relationship, you better get working on yourself, because that's the only way is loving yourself is to allow someone else to love you. Absolutely. And, you know, breathe. Remember to breathe. Go outside. You know, love this planet, and know that eventually you can feel like you are enough. It's taken me a long time. I don't feel like I'm more than enough, except for some things, but I feel like, you know, I've done really well here. You know, I'm doing it. I'm doing the work, and I truly love the woman that I am today. And that's really big for me to say, because it's taken a long time and a lot of work, but I'm so grateful for that.
And you have done really well, and I thank you for being a part of my path, and it's so great to be able to know you and share our space and this weird trip that we've been on. It's really great.
Right. I love you so much, Dan.
Oh, I love you too. It's great.
You're a gem. You are authentically you. And I love that, you know, like we can be feisty together, and then we can sit down and we can talk about all these things. And I think that's invaluable in friendships. Like, I'm able to see you, and in that I'm able to open myself so that you can see me. What a gift.
Absolutely.
What a gift.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If anybody wants to reach you, any website specific, or I know you have a few.
Yeah, I have a few. You know, if you need, if you are interested in our yoga practice, it's yogagalactica.com. If you're interested in plant medicine, especially combo, it's comboshift.com. And I don't think you're going to need any entertainment. But if you do, Fire Groove Entertainment. And then you can find us on all the social media platforms. You know, for me, it's just Kamala Mathis on Instagram. It's at Kamala Mathis. I try to post stories every day, and I try to, you know, open up little bits of my life, which can be uncomfortable, but some are really, I'm also a fucking goofball. So
Yeah.
with that and lots of puppy pictures, but yeah. And please, you know, if there's anything that I've said that's resonated with you or that can help you, I love talking to people. So reach out, and I'm here.
Awesome. I'm going to put those websites in the show notes. Hopefully that translates to, I don't know how many platforms, but you can find them in the show notes or just remember them there. And just hang on one second. I'm going to do my ending. And thank you everybody for joining me and Kamala today and being a part of our very interesting journey. Whatever format you're on, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and give us the stars and the thumbs up and all the things that people tell you to do. And that's it for now. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep you on the line for one more second, Kamala, but I'm going to turn everything off. So thank you. Let me just hit this here.